Hey ladies, Michelle here. So I've been being asked a lot of questions about Younique Self Tanner, and since I've been using Self Tanner since 1999, I thought I would give you some tips. So don't laugh at me, but since I am trying to do a video here and I am not a professional videographer, I am going to try to show you some tips, and I just wanted you to look at my legs. So here we go. The Self Tanner of Younique, it has a brown tint to it, okay? And it's to help you where when you're putting it on your skin, you can see where it is. And so it's great because it's going to help you to know if you're missing an area. But since every time you do a part of your body, you want to wash your hands, it'd be too hard for me, obviously, to show you with the real Self Tanner if this video is going to be a few minutes, because when I'm normally doing it, I'm washing my hands all the time. So I'm just going to use some lotion just to give you an idea. But you're basically going to take the Self Tanning Lotion by Younique and you're going to squirt some in your hand like this. Don't rub it into your hands, okay, because that helps to make it stain your hands more. But what you're going to do is you're going to rub it in a circular motion, and like I said, it's got a tint to it, so you're going to kind of be able to see where you're putting it. But just go over and over the same area, and what I do is I will do the lower leg, and then I will squirt again, about that much, and I will do the upper leg, just like that, circular motions, and making sure that you're covering the same area over and over and over, okay? Now, a tip is when you're doing the knees, like, okay, so I've done a lot, so there's not very much left in my hands, right? Well, this is when you're gonna do the knees. You're just gonna lightly do the inside and the outside of your knee. Okay, so just then, when there's not very much left on your hands, that's when you want to do the knees. Same thing with the ankle. You're just going to lightly go over your ankle, okay? You know, the bony part of your ankle, that will stain really easily because that tends to be dry on people. So while you're using Self Tanner, don't use lotion the day that you're putting the Self Tanner on. Do it the day before to make sure that your skin's nice and moisturized. But as the week goes on, every day I like to put lotion on my skin to make sure that it helps to keep my skin nice and conditioned and moisturized while I'm using the Self Tanner, okay? But when you're doing your, you only want, like, if you're going to squirt some in your hand, I mean, literally, you just want a tiny, tiny amount, okay? But most of the time, what I've learned is by the time I've done part of my leg, then I just have a little bit left in my hands, and then that's what I would use to go up and down the foot. This is fun doing this in this video camera. And then you're going to do your toes really lightly, and you're going to get in between your toes. Now, people who are not as light complected as me, they can get away with not being so precise, okay? But people like me, and possibly if you're light complected, you have to be very, very careful, okay? So you're only going to want a light amount. I cannot stress how important it is, a light amount, okay? When you're doing ankles, right here, okay? The top of the foot, because that's where the sun is going to hit, lightly your toes, and then for light complected people, you have to go in between the toes. And like I said, if you're a tan person or if you're a darker person, it's not going to show up as much on somebody like that because they already have dark skin. But if you're as pale as me, it is going to be very important to make sure that you do all these tips. And then the last thing I wanted to tell you, well, actually two more things. I'm trying to make this video quick, but when you're doing your arms, same thing. I do the bottom of my arm, just like I was telling you about the legs, but elbows, again, hardly any in my hand, and brush over the elbow lightly, okay? And the inside here, for some reason, this tends to be a place people miss, so you just want to make sure lightly here too, okay? And then my last trick is when you're doing your hands, okay? When you do the legs, okay, you do one leg, you wash your hands, Okay, you do another leg, you wash your hands. You do an arm, you wash your hands. So obviously when you do your hands, the top of your hands, you don't want your palms to stain, right? So what you're gonna do is you're gonna take a Kleenex, or if you buy the Younique applicator, you can use that too. But if you don't have the applicator, then you're going to squirt just a little bit in a Kleenex, and you're just gonna use your fingers like this, and you're gonna get your palm really good. You're going to lightly go over your fingers, and I always double check my wrist. I always go like this on my wrist, very, very lightly, just to make sure, because what happens is sometimes we rub it in our arm and we don't get it all the way up to our hand, because your hand's gonna be white because you don't want it to get sun, right? That's not natural to get sun. But you want your arm to be tan all the way to your hand. You don't want it to stop right here, or that's a dead giveaway. You're letting everybody know it's fake. So then take the Kleenex